There are certain behaviors a dog simply cannot produce unless their life is genuinely going well. Not behaviors they perform for you, not trained responses. Behaviors that require a surplus of psychological safety, physical comfort, and emotional security to even be possible. A stressed dog cannot fake them. An anxious dog cannot will them into existence. They emerge only when the underlying conditions of a dog's life have crossed a certain threshold of genuine well-being. Today, we are going through the habits that only show up when things are truly good, each one grounded in what behavioral science tells us about the requirements behind it. And once you know what to look for, you will start noticing them in your own dog almost immediately. Some of them you have probably seen 100 times without realizing what they actually meant. 1. The full body flop. You have seen it. The dog that, mid-walk across the room, simply collapses sideways onto the floor without any apparent transition or preparation. Full weight, no hesitation, often with an audible exhale on the way down. This is not laziness. It is one of the clearest behavioral indicators of a fully relaxed nervous system available in the canine repertoire. A dog carrying any meaningful level of background vigilance does not drop their body weight this completely or this suddenly. The flop requires total muscular release, a level of physical surrender that is only possible when the threat detection system has fully stood down. Dogs in chronic low-grade stress maintain subtle muscular tension even at rest, a baseline readiness that prevents this kind of complete physical collapse. The full body flop is the body's honest report that nothing in the current environment requires monitoring. It happens because it can. There is no version of this behavior that a guarded, uncertain dog is capable of producing, no matter how much they might want to relax. The flop is involuntary in the most literal sense. It cannot be coaxed, trained, or performed on command. 2. Sleeping in unguarded positions. Where and how a dog sleeps is one of the most reliable windows into their underlying sense of safety, and certain sleeping positions are simply unavailable to a dog who does not feel completely secure. A dog sleeping fully on their back, legs splayed, belly exposed to the room, this is the most physiologically vulnerable position a dog can adopt. The ventral surface is undefended. The ability to react quickly to a threat is significantly reduced. Canine ethology is consistent that this posture only appears in environments a dog has assessed as entirely free of danger. Similarly, deep sleep accompanied by visible REM activity, twitching paws, soft vocalizations, rapid eye movement under closed lids indicates the dog has progressed into the deeper stages of the sleep cycle. Dogs under chronic stress show disrupted sleep architecture and spend less time in these restorative stages. A dog that reaches deep, twitching sleep regularly and in unguarded positions is a dog whose nervous system trusts its surroundings completely. They are not simply tired, they are at peace enough to let their guard down entirely, which is a far rarer and more meaningful state than ordinary rest. 3. Playing alone for no reason. Play in adult dogs requires a particular set of underlying conditions to occur at all. It is, behaviorally speaking, a luxury activity, one that has no direct survival function and that gets suppressed almost immediately when an animal's resources are needed elsewhere for coping or threat management. A dog that spontaneously initiates play with a toy while completely alone, tossing it, chasing it, engaging in a self-directed game with no audience and no prompting, is demonstrating that their nervous system has surplus capacity beyond what is needed simply to get through the day. Research on animal welfare consistently uses the presence of self-directed play as a positive indicator in assessing emotional state, precisely because chronically stressed or understimulated animals across species show a measurable reduction in spontaneous play behavior. This is one of the purest signs of genuine contentment available. Nobody trained it. Nobody asked for it. It happened because life had enough room in it for joy that did not need to serve any other purpose. A dog that plays for an audience of no one is a dog whose happiness has become self-sustaining, rather than something that needs to be coaxed out by you. 4. The groan of contentment while settling. There's a specific sound many dogs make while lowering themselves into a resting position, a low, drawn-out groan or sigh, distinct from a yawn or a bark, that occurs specifically during the settling process. This vocalization is associated with comfort and relaxation rather than distress, and it tends to occur most reliably in dogs whose physical and emotional needs are being well met. A dog in pain or significant discomfort typically vocalizes differently during the act of lying down. Sharper, more clipped sounds tied to the discomfort of the movement itself, rather than the long, loose exhale groan of genuine ease. The contentment groan is, in a sense, the audible signature of a body that has nothing to brace against. It costs the dog nothing to produce and serves no communicative function directed at anyone else in the room. It is simply what relaxation sounds like when it is real. Most owners hear it dozens of times without registering it. It is worth listening for deliberately, because it is one of the most honest sounds your dog makes all day, unfiltered, unprompted, and entirely involuntary. 5. Initiating affection without being prompted. A dog that comes to you, uninvited, unprompted, with no treat involved and no specific need being expressed, and presses their head into your hand or leans their body against you, is performing one of the clearest behavioral signatures of a secure, well-regulated attachment. This differs meaningfully from solicitation behavior tied to a specific want. It is proximity sought purely for its own sake. Research on attachment in dogs consistently finds that securely attached animals initiate affectionate contact with their primary figure more frequently and more spontaneously than anxiously or avoidantly attached animals who tend toward either excessive, anxious clinginess or notable emotional distance. A dog that regularly, calmly, and without any agenda initiates physical affection is a dog whose relationship with their person has enough trust and enough stability that reaching out requires no calculation. They are not checking whether the world is safe right now. They already know. And the simple act of choosing closeness with nothing at stake and nothing being asked for is one of the most direct expressions of a relationship working exactly as it should. 6. Exploring novelty with curiosity instead of caution. Put a new object in front of two different dogs and watch the difference. One approaches with a loose, low wag, sniffing with open curiosity, body relaxed throughout the investigation. The other hesitates, approaches stiffly if at all, retreats at the slightest unexpected movement from the object. This is the cognitive bias phenomenon that animal welfare researchers use formally to assess emotional states across species. Animals in positive emotional states show optimistic bias, approaching the unknown with the expectation that it is more likely to be good than bad. Animals in negative emotional states show pessimistic bias, approaching or avoiding novelty with an assumption of threat. A dog that consistently treats new things as interesting rather than dangerous is a dog whose baseline emotional state has been shaped over time by a world that has generally treated them well. That orientation toward curiosity rather than caution is not a fixed personality trait. It is earned day by day through a life that has given them enough good experiences to outweigh the bad ones. Watching your dog's first reaction to something unfamiliar is, in a sense, watching a small referendum on how their life has gone so far, a live, unfiltered readout of accumulated trust. 7. The relaxed, loose wagging tail at rest. Not the wild, frantic wag of excitement, the quiet, loose, almost absent-minded wag that happens when a dog is simply resting near you, doing nothing in particular, content. Tail position and movement are among the most studied indicators of canine emotional state, and a tail, held at a neutral height, moving in slow, loose sweeps during quiet moments, reflects a baseline state of ease that is distinct from active excitement. It is the tail equivalent of someone humming quietly to themselves while doing the dishes, an unconscious, low-effort expression of being fundamentally fine. This kind of resting tail movement disappears in dogs experiencing chronic stress or discomfort, who tend to hold their tail in more tucked, still, or guarded positions even during apparently calm moments. Its presence is a small thing, but it is a small thing that simply cannot be performed. It only shows up when it is real, and it tends to be the very last thing to disappear when something in a dog's world starts to go wrong, which makes it one of the most useful baseline signals to know well. None of these behaviors can be faked, trained, or forced. They are the byproducts of a life that is genuinely, quietly going well. If you are seeing them in your dog, you are doing something right. Drop a comment. I read every single one. Subscribe. New video every week. See you next time.